Good evening. The Rancho Public Schools Board of Education meeting for Monday, September 23rd, 2024 is now called to order. If all would please arise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. JC, can you take a roll call for us?
President Galbraith?
Present.
Vice President Morgan?
Present.
Secretary Tyler?
Present.
Board Member Tripp? Board Member Miller?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I would like to excuse Board Member Tripp tonight. He wishes he could be here, and we wish him well. And we're just welcome to everyone who's here in our meeting tonight. We always enjoy when we have a nice, a full boardroom. It's always nice to see so many individuals from the public and also from our schools. So welcome. We'll start with our introductory comments by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Visu Cleveland.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. So we have just a few business items this evening. The first, the Rio Rancho Board of Education is being asked to consider the approval of the revised purchase and sale agreement for the Shining Stars property, and is being asked to provide authorization to close that transaction. This involves the selling of a portion of land located at the northwest corner of Montezuma and Kaiser Road Northeast in Rio Rancho. The agreement is between the Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education and the West Side Cumberland Presbyterian Church. This presentation will be presented by Lauren Hatch, Chief Legal Counsel for the district. This agreement was part of a larger effort to provide land for a new Independence High School campus. The current Independence High School campus is too small and must limit the number of students at the school. And unfortunately, every year, students are turned away because we have reached the limit of the capacity of that building. The current building where Independence is housed will be used as a centralized location, kind of a one-stop shop to meet the needs of students with disabilities and their families. This agreement is subject to final approval by the New Mexico State Board of Finance after it's been approved by the Rio Rancho Board of Education. Vista Grande Elementary is here this evening to talk about their RAMP application. The board will be asked to approve an application for the RAMP program for Vista Grande Elementary. This program will be explained by Mariah Affentranger, Director of Counseling, and Angela Brown, Vista Grande Counselor, who you might remember was recognized by the board at our last meeting as New Mexico's 2024 Counselor of the Year. RAMP is a recognized ASCA model program, and they will share with you why becoming a nationally recognized ASCA model program is important and what it does for our students. All donations under school board policy must be accepted by the Board of Education. The Rio Rancho Board is asked to consider accepting a decommissioned police vehicle for a variety of CTE programs, including the automotive program, but certainly is not limited to that. Renee Salcedo, Secondary School Improvement Officer, and Larry Davis, our Director of Career Technical Education, will be sharing with the board this evening some of those applications and will make the request to accept this donation. We value our partnership that we have with local law enforcement agencies, including the Rio Rancho Police Department. And as I said previously, this donated police vehicle will provide many unique learning opportunities for our students in a variety of different classes and applications. We have the request this evening for a calendar change. The board is asked to consider approval of a change to the district calendar based on a request from the Public Education Department. Failure to make this change would result in loss of revenue for the school district. Peggy Johnson, our Human Resources Director, will present the proposed change and explain the need for this revision. Calendars have been a challenge this year due to some public education department and legislative changes. Parents will be notified immediately if the change is approved this evening. And that's all I have. Are there any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Cleveland, appreciate it. Okay, we'll now go to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocation.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, aye. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, we'll now move to the public comment portion of our meeting tonight. We received public comment in two different ways. And so we have a pretty good amount in both of those ways today. So one of those is through our online form where individuals get onto the Rancho Public Schools board page and they give public comment there. Those comments I summarize and those individuals are always welcome to come into the boardroom and to give public comment here and have their voice be heard. We also take public comment here in the boardroom in person. So for tonight, we have 11 that came in through our online form, and we have 8 that came in person. So we welcome all who are here tonight. I'm going to start with our public comments that came in through our online form tonight and just summarize those. So of our 11, we received 5 of those were from Jackie Aguirre, Nanette Jock. Sorry, I'm going through my papers. Austin Rogers, Adrian Lawyer, and Catherine Perez. And all of these are in regards to the LGBTQ signage in the schools. And we also received one public comment in regards to Rancho Public Schools ought to implement a college preparation readiness program from Faith Young. And then we received 5 more public comment through our online form in support for Bibles in the school libraries and the Good News Clubs. And those are from Karen Green, James Stevenson, Denise de Tamayoso Gonzalez, Alex Madrid, and Georgia Madrid. So those are from our online form that we received. We'll now go to our in-person public comment. And so as we go into this, I ask all those who are going to be giving public comment tonight to please refer to the board policies that are within the agenda for the rules of that. I'll go over a few of these. So JC here will have a timer and you have 3 minutes to give your public comment. When you step up to the microphone and once you start speaking, she'll go ahead and start the timer. When it goes off, we ask that you will go and take your seat again. And as I always like to say, because it's awkward at times, is that as a board, we are not able to address the public comment here in this meeting tonight unless it's on our agenda. And so you might just see some nods or some politeness as you go and sit back down, but we're not able to address those public comment here in the boardroom tonight. So we do once again want to welcome you and thank you for being here tonight. So we will start with our first. I'm just trying to make sure I have, okay, you're gonna have to help me out. So our first one is Andrew Ryan, is that correct? Okay, come on up.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. Every student deserves a place to live, learn, grow, and figure out who they are in this messy world of ours in safety and in dignity. If there were ever an oath to swear for the education profession, it would be something along these lines because these are fundamental truths that anyone across Rio Rancho Public Schools would agree with. Unfortunately, according to a training required of us by the district, quote, 58% of students have heard homophobic remarks from a teacher at school, unquote. Again, over half of the LGBTQ students have heard teachers, people they're supposed to be looking up to, say things that are demeaning and hurtful to a demographic to which they belong. Personally, I've had to write up students for using slurs in my classroom. Before that, I've also dealt with an incident with students particularly targeting and tearing down posters for the Gay Straight Alliance Club. These vulnerable students hear things that people say and do that alienate them and tell them that they're not welcome in our school. And according to that same required training, put them, quote, at a greater risk for bullying, depression, dropping out, and suicide. Last year, when the safe space signs were banned under Board Policy 404, we were told that it was because all spaces are supposed to be safe for all students. But this training that you've required of us tells us that it's not. Putting up signs of visible diversity provides support where these students need it, and it's an obvious sign that this sort of abusive behavior has no place in our schools. Saying rainbow safe space signs discriminate against students that are straight makes about as much sense as saying that IEPs discriminate against general education students, or that McKinney-Vento discriminates against students who aren't homeless. These all exist to solve problems that not everybody experiences, and that's okay. So I ask you and the board respectfully, if not all spaces are safe, then why is it us who are stepping up to make the difference, who are being told that we're causing controversy, not staff members who are causing this unsafety? Why is the district's solution to unsafe spaces to micromanage how we support our students and not take the advice of its own training and stand firmly for visible diversity? And if this is to avoid controversy for the district, then why are we okay leaving vulnerable students to stand up for themselves as individuals instead of leveraging the strength of one of the biggest institutions in Rio Rancho, the most rigorous school district in the state, to support what we know to be educationally sound and social emotional best practices? Please hear us on this, because none of us want this to become a situation where it's the students here advocating for themselves, because we will always have one thing in common, and then that is that we respect the students enough to want a district that works for them, not one that they feel like they have to defend themselves against. I urge the board to reconsider this specific board policy, or at the very minimum, its current interpretation in regards to rainbow safe space signs in our schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, our next comment is from Jenny Beadle.
Good evening, Dr. Cleveland and members of the board. My name is Jenny, and I am the local director for CEF, Child Evangelism Fellowship, and we sponsor the Good News Clubs in the public schools. So I had started the first club in Rio Rancho in 2017 and had an amazing response from students and their families. Over the years, the last few years, we've had several clubs, again, with many of them over 30 children. I have already been contacted by several parents from different schools on when the clubs will start, when they will begin. And in particular, Enchanted Hills Elementary was a school that we had clubs in last year. However, when their parents have contacted me, I have sadly had to tell them that we have been denied to be in their school. And again, we have a Supreme Court ruling, which I did remind Principal Jennifer Bartley, that states that the Good News Clubs must be given the same access to school facilities accorded to any other non-school related outside group. So Jennifer Bartley has emailed me several different excuses, and I've had solutions for every excuse and I do have those emails from not enough space to impending construction, which I knew was probably just that, an excuse. So about a week later, I received a flyer for Enchanted Hills Chess Club that was handed out at their open house. And then I received a list of other clubs opportunities, including martial arts and book clubs from Enchanted Hills Elementary. Now, this is, to me, clearly discrimination, and I have filed suit with Liberty Counsel. We have contacted Dr. Sue Cleveland on August 12th and have yet to receive a reply. I am here because I am hopeful to avoid the media and continuing the suit with Liberty Counsel. However, I am asking for Dr. Cleveland to please advise all the other schools. I truly believe that it is up to the superintendent. It is the responsibility of the superintendent to let them know that we have the legal rights to be into these schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is Dan Zimmerman.
Thank you for allowing us to come here today. I'm just going to make just a few quick little facts. I'm not going to spend all 3 minutes up here. And it's about Bibles in the school libraries. For 200 years, Bibles were allowed in schools for the children to read and study, and it was part of the curriculum. And in the early 1960s, the adults got involved and they ended up getting taken out through the Supreme Court. There are 2 states already in the United States that have passed laws to be able to put the 10 Commandments in each classroom. And therefore, like, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt honor father and mothers. And when they walk in, they're going to see them on the wall, and it'll help at least give them an idea of how they're supposed to live their lives. The Bible is about morality, about how to live a life, how to love thy neighbor. I know you won't put them in the classrooms, but they can at least be in the libraries for everybody to have a chance to take a look and read them. I know New Mexico, half of the budget for the state goes to the schools. And unfortunately, you guys, not you guys so much, because I'm sure you pull up the rest of the state, but you're 47th out of 50. Then you have like Mississippi, they're 50th in well-being, health, but their schools are 30. So obviously they're doing something a little better in the schools than we are here. And for 8 straight years, you have been ranked like 47th or to 50th, somewhere in there. I just ask you to at least think about and actually put the Bibles in the libraries to give the kids a chance. Not all of them are going to go look at them, but there are a lot of religious young people out there. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next is Denise Weaver.
President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board, I'm here today to voice concerns over recent hostility the district has shown toward Christian values. I'm a Rio Rancho citizen, a mother of 2 children, and a Christian in this community. I volunteer as the local representative for the Bibles in Schools organization, which has donated over 4,000 free Bibles to school libraries across the country. I was shocked when the Rio Rancho School District Student Services Director told me that the district had enough Bibles in circulation and stated per policy 417, which has nothing to do with accepting free books, that they would not accept any more free Bibles. So do you have enough Bibles in circulation? Based on your online catalog, only 7 of 20 schools in the district have a Bible in their library. That is not sufficient, nor enough for all children in this district to have access to a Bible. Why are the Bibles important in education? The Bible has impacted Western culture, literature, and political structure more than any other book in history. For its literary and historic importance, especially in our nation, school libraries should not censor the Bible from their shelves. Professor Linda Peterson, Director of Graduate Studies at Yale University, agreed, stating, I think the Bible is one of the foundational texts of Western and American literature. And so I think if you don't read it in some religious context, you should read it in an educational setting. Even atheist Richard Dawkins, who abhorred the Bible as a source of morality, wrote an editorial stating that all children should read the Bible, saying, quote, the native speaker of English who has never read a word of the King James Bible is verging on barbarian. All of our founding fathers knew the value of the Bible, including Noah Webster, who said education is useless without God and the Bible. But is it legal to have the Bible in public schools? The Supreme Court ruled in Abington School District versus Skimp that the state may not establish a religion of secularism in the sense of affirmatively opposing or showing hostility toward religion. Accepting this donation and placing a copy of the Bible in the library does not violate the Establishment Clause. The Supreme Court has made it clear that Bibles can be included in public schools. Instead, excluding the Bible because of its religious content violates the Constitution, which prohibits government officials from acting out of hostility toward religion. Let me be clear. We are only requesting that you make Bibles available to children in each and every public school by putting at least one in the library, and the Bibles in School organization will give them to you free of charge. The real problem here is what appears to be a pattern of hostility toward Christian values from this district, whether it's principals refusing Christian clubs while allowing secular clubs, or allowing the student services director to pick and choose which free books they will put in their library is discrimination. You are now all aware of it, and it is unacceptable and even illegal, and we are asking you to step in and address it. We, the citizens of this community, will not stand quietly by and let this happen, and neither should you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next comment will be Janine Patterson.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, and additional board members. My name's Janine. I'm a retired registered nurse living in Rio Rancho for my whole career, and my husband's a retired Rio Rancho firefighter of 29 years. We've raised our children, and now we have additional grandchildren also living here. The comment I wanted to throw out there is our country was founded on biblical principles, and the Bible itself had a very strong direct influence on the founding era Americans who drafted and ratified the Constitution. And I feel that the Bible should be a standard stock book in all school libraries. The Good News Clubs are voluntary programs, just like all the other available programs that are offered to school children. And if children want to attend, they should have the opportunity to participate in these clubs and have easy, free access to the books and the Bibles and any other resources needed for participation. The First Amendment is freedom of religion, speech, press, and peaceful assembly. And to deny these clubs and Bibles in the schools, to me feels like it's a conflict of the First Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is Kelly Boyles. Okay.
Good evening, thank you. In regard to Rio Rancho Public Schools rejecting free Bibles in its libraries, Rio Rancho Public Schools should absolutely accept and allow this historically accurate book and resource in its libraries for the students and families in our community to utilize as needed. Our founding fathers, among those responsible for creating our United States Constitution, used a wide range of resources to draft this document, which has formed one of the greatest, if not the greatest nation to date, the United States of America, in which we live and serve. The founding father recognized the Bible, the Mayflower Compact, ancient governments, Iroquois Confederacy, the English Bill of Rights, Enlightenment philosophers, and other state constitutions upon writing this document that is now known as the supreme law of the land here in the United States. To not allow the Bible as a historical reference and resource material is not only a disservice to our community now, but for future generations. Our supreme law here in the United States is deeply rooted in the guiding principles found in the Bible. To allow all of the above references in school libraries but omit biblical references is allowing a misunderstanding and a compromising of what it means to live and abide as a citizen in a free nation by the precepts of the Constitution. As a whole, our national and local state governments, now trickling down to our local school boards, have slowly progressed, walking further away from acknowledging and understanding the basics of our human rights and freedoms. I believe that if we continue down this path of rejecting truth, dismissing objective opinions, and ideas we may not like, such as those the Bible proclaims, violates our own freedom to speak, which in effect will lead our nation to its own demise. It's important we understand the gravity of this situation. Not allowing access to the Bible in public school libraries is one step closer to losing our unalienable rights defined in our Constitution. I challenge each and every one of you to read our United States Constitution in its entirety. This document and the freedoms it guards and protects its citizens with wouldn't be what it is today without the Bible. Our hope is that every member of the Rio Rancho School Board understands that their main priority is to serve the community and provide for the greater good. The priority isn't to decide which books are relevant or not. They are self-evident in and of their own. To dismiss the Bible as a resource in your library shows exactly why and how we've landed in our modern society. I don't know if you've all heard about recent school lockdowns, violent crimes, the rising of abuse, addiction, and the abandonment of respecting human life. This is the America we live in right now. We can turn this around if we start taking our freedoms seriously, respecting where our laws come from, and accepting who they are rooted in. Accept the Bible in public school libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is Roy Weaver.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Board, for the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Roy Weaver. I am a pastor at Calvary Rio Rancho, and I wanted to thank you for your service to the city of Rio Rancho and its taxpaying citizens. It is an admirable cause that you would spend your time and energy investing into the health and just of the health of the children of our city. So thank you for that. My desire to be here today, along with many others, is the exact same as yours. And that would be concerning what's in the best interest of the children of our community. A 2019 Pew Research Center study showed that people who are active in faith-based congregations tend to be happier, more engaged civically, and are generally healthier people. They smoke less, they drink less, they use less illegal drugs, and all other criminal activity is way down on the scale. And also from our own intelligent observations, we can see faith-based people are more engaged in the activities and well-being of their children. This would relate to school attendance, parental participation in schoolwork and extracurricular activities, and the overall health and positive growth of the children. We also see this in the explosive growth of private faith-based schools and those who choose to homeschool their children. A study in the Journal of School Choice found that homeschooled children outperform public school children by anywhere from 15 to 30% in standardized tests. I would also say that New Mexico schools rank at or near the bottom of all public schools in the United States, and I would beg to say that the difference here is even higher in New Mexico. As a school board designed to promote the best possible outcomes for our children, we are asking you to examine and enact those principles that give each and every student the highest chance for success. We can use the home schools as a model and a goal for us to improve the overall health of Rio Rancho Public Schools. It would be a logical step to evaluate those things that work elsewhere in order to graduate our children into higher achieving students. Allowing the Bible to be in our school library should be the easiest decision we could possibly make. Morally, ethically, and constitutionally, this is a right and a freedom clearly spelled out. And it's at no cost to our school system. The same principle here applies to our Good News Clubs. This is also a constitutionally protected freedom and a right that is applied to all school systems across our country. The Good News Club teachers are volunteer taxpayers, donating their time to help raise responsible, healthy children at no cost to the taxpayers of Rio Rancho. As a school board, it is expected that you would step in and correct members when they choose to step outside of their bounds.
We appreciate you coming up.
Make their own rules.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, and our last is Christian Dern.
Good evening, Dr. Cleveland. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to hear from the public. So I do want to tell you that I'm a product of Rio Rancho Public Schools, K through 12. I went through all of K through 12 my entire career, and I am really proud that this is my school district. Coming back as a teacher after graduating college, it has been nothing but a fantastic experience. My comments here are in regards to Board Policy 404, which is in reference to the safe space signs. My opinion has been the same since the last time that I made public comments to you guys. I don't think that love should be discriminated against. I don't think that students should feel unsafe in their own classrooms. I don't think that they should feel unsafe at all. considering we're in charge of their education and their betterment. So my comments are definitely not going to be nearly as eloquent as my colleague, Mr. Ryan, but we do share the same sentiment. And I really highly suggest that the board reconsiders its position on board policy 404. Again, thank you very much for taking time out of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead, before we go to the rest of our meeting, we're going to take a 5-minute recess just to allow some shuffling that might occur in the room. That's all of our public comment for tonight, so we're grateful for everyone that came in tonight, and we'll go ahead and go to that 5-minute recess now.
How are you? Oh, just living the dream every day. Oh, I know. Yeah. No way, no, not even.
Okay, we'll now call our meeting back to order. Thank you, everyone. We'll go now to approve our consent agenda. We have a motion.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second the motion.
Can you do that one more time, Beth? Can you do that one more time for me, just so it's on the record?
Miller, I second the motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Okay, we'll now go into our business portion of our meeting tonight. And we'll start with our first, which is to consider the approval of the revised purchase and sale agreement for the Shining Stars property and delegation to close transaction. Lauren Hatch, our Chief Legal Counsel, will present.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland. I am Lauren Hatch, here to talk about the revised agreement for the Shining Stars property. As the board probably remembers, a few months ago, there was a transaction proposed that the school board approved to sell some land, about 3 acres of land that's excess in the area of Shining Stars to the Westside Cumberland Church. We then go through a process of submitting to the State Board of Finance and seeking their approval of that transaction. We actually had a meeting with the State Board of Finance on September 17th, and we got preliminary approval. There are some conditions that we have to meet. One of them is that they want to see an updated purchase and sale agreement that has a couple of words stripped out of it. You probably have in your packet the materials. The changes are on page 10. And literally what we're doing is taking out the word warranties from it. This is a comment that came from the Attorney General's office. And frankly, we thought we had all those out of there and we missed a couple. So that is the change that we're asking for the board to approve today. In addition to that, the State Board of Finance would like to see in the notes, in the minutes of the meeting where this was approved, that it says that once the State Board of Finance has given its final approval, that Dr. Cleveland is authorized to close the transaction on behalf of the district. And so that's why it's presented in the way that it is. So really the ask is approve the revised agreement with the warranty language stripped out on page 10. And then authorizing Dr. Cleveland to sign the transaction to finally close it once the State Board of Finance has given its final approval. And I stand for any questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board on this? Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything? Okay. We'll go for a motion on this.
So,
Do you have a question?
no. I know you're going to do this, but are you going to repeat what he just said, or does the title cover?
The title covers it since it's
Okay,
the
so
revised purchase agreement.
I think, yeah, it's approving the revised purchase and sale agreement and delegating to Dr.
And
Cleveland.
delegation.
Okay, all right then.
It's finally
I
approved.
thought maybe you wanted us to spell that out when we were making the,
I think the title of it captures it.
okay, all right, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And we'll
And-
make sure it's clear in the minutes for you.
Okay.
Okay, then Madam President, I will make a motion to approve the revised purchase and sale agreement for the Shining Stars property and delegation to close the transaction.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay. We have a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Jeff Morgan, and then JC, if you could take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Calvert?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, our next item is to consider the approval of the RAMP Award Program. We have Mariah Affentranger, our Director of Counseling, along with Angela Brown, our Vista Grande Elementary Counselor.
Good evening, Madam Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, and members of the school board. It feels like we were just here yesterday honoring our amazing school counselor of the year, Angel Brown. So Angel is back tonight, but she also brought with her her counseling partner from Vista Grande Elementary School. And I do want to introduce Katie Doss. She's a longtime counselor. She was at Mountain View Middle School. She is currently at Vista Grande. And not to toot our counseling horn, but Katie is also the president currently of the New Mexico School Counseling Association.
Awesome.
So Katie and Angel are going to share with you a brief overview of the American School Counseling Association RAMP application they have been working toward the last 2 years. Their proposal requires a school board presentation and approval. So that is why we are here this evening. But before they briefly share the work they've been doing, I do want you to know how special this recognition is. There are only 2 schools in the state of New Mexico who are currently RAMP recognized schools. And no Rio Rancho Public Schools counseling program has ever applied for and achieved RAMP status. So we are super excited about their upcoming application. We do have one additional elementary school, Maggie Cordova, who is also working on their RAMP app proposal. They're not quite ready for a board presentation. So we are hoping if their application from Vista Grande gets approved, then we could just ask on the side for a second approval if that second school is ready in time. So without further ado, may I present Katie and Angel.
Thank you so much for having us today. We're so excited to share with you some of the amazing things that we've been doing at our school. First, I'd like to go over 3 things that we're going to talk about. I want to clarify what RAMP is for you guys, because we like to talk a lot about acronyms in our school system. So I'll clarify on what RAMP is, and then I really want to highlight some of the amazing things we're actually doing within our program. And then we'll also talk about where we are in the application process.
What it's been like for the last 2 years.
So a recognized ASCA model program is essentially a national model program that exemplifies the mission of ASCA. RAMP is a data-informed decision-making program where we are delivering systematically to all students a comprehensive school counseling program. It's developmentally appropriate curriculum that's focused on specific student mindsets and behaviors. So those are aligned with a lot of standards, and they result in improved student outcomes. And so it's data-driven, where we look at achievement, attendance, and discipline data. What we've looked at a lot this year is intentionality. This program allows us to be very intentional with how we support students.
How we can support our schools, dash schools, right?
Mhm.
And how we can help them support our students.
So some of the highlights for our school this year, through data collection, we have realized in aligning with Rio Rancho Public School goals, as well as our own DASH goals, that we have focused on our attendance and behavior data, because we felt like that's where we could do the most support between the 2 of us. And we collected so much data over the last year, the amount of graphs and student surveys and parent communications and staff surveys, student surveys, looking at outcome data such as attendance, behavior,
NWEA test scores.
We've looked at a lot of data. We have focused on outcomes. One of the outcomes that I really want to focus on is we looked at attendance within our 3rd grade students, because we noticed that there's a lot of 3rd grade absenteeism. And so we took a small group of students. There was 8 students, and their first trimester, they averaged 10.3 absences in one trimester, which was significant. We worked with them doing simple interventions such as a check-in and check-out system, building relationships with them, working on creating goals for themselves. And by the 3rd trimester, they had an average attendance rate of 3.9 for the group. So we are seeing amazing outcomes just by focusing intentionally and using our data to drive our decisions. Our impact is significant with attendance and interventions, as well as it has allowed us to reflect on the program that we want and what we provide to the students and the community that we have. We have been able to work so closely with community stakeholders to support our students, and we have just been so blessed to see such amazing things.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been fully embraced by our administration, which is super helpful. They have just taken this on because, it's a time process. And so I'll explain what this has looked like for us. Ms. Doss and I have worked together for the past, this is our 4th year together. And in our first year together, we were just talking about RAMP because it is really prestigious. And we were like, do we want to do this, right? Do we want to go for this?
Are we ready?
Yeah, and so we decided we did. And so our first year was data collection in terms of like how we do this, like what this process entails. So we attended many professional developments in the summer and different things through the American School Counseling Association on what this could look like. So we started that research in 2022. And then at the end of that school year, we presented to our admin and to Mariah Achentringer and Sherry Carver and said like, hey, we really want to go for RAMP. This is something we really want to do. And we feel like we could use a little support with this. And so we presented on the benefits and asked for a American School Counseling Association coach, which has allowed us to meet monthly and really work on our data because it comes down to a lot of paperwork, right? To show what we've been doing. And so we've been working with the RAMP coach since the beginning of the 23-24 school year. And then we have just submitted our application to her for review, and then we will actually submit to the American School Counseling Association in October of this year with your guys' approval. So it has taken us a couple of years to get here. And if we achieve RAMP status, we should find out beginning of the 2025 school year, and it's good for 5 years. So it's been a lot of work, labor of love. Like Ms. Doss said, having the data to show how we're able to support our students has just been eye-opening and absolutely amazing. Do you guys have any questions?
First, that's awesome. So thank you. Mariah, did you want to come up and say something? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you want us to go to questions first or you want to talk real quick? Okay. Okay. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything?
Well, just good luck. And, we know that you were doing hard on this. It is really exciting. And so really applaud the extra time and effort you've put into this. And we hope that you will be our first successful application and maybe one of many to come. I also want to recognize Principal Prescott is here, who also supports that. Really been a strong supporter of our counseling programs in our elementary schools. So we thank you for being here as well.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff, do you have any questions?
I don't have a question, just want to make a comment. Can you tell me ASCA, what that is again?
It's the American School Counseling Association.
Okay, all right.
It's our national program and our national
Okay.
model.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you. Good work. I appreciate all the work. Thank you.
Beth Miller, any questions or?
Thanks so much for all you've done to apply for this. I kind of have a question. I'm just curious, you've probably had several aha moments through this process. What would you say is your biggest one? Maybe the top one or two?
I think like one of the ones that we were really like, whoa, we were kind of blown away about is just the effectiveness in terms of like the student check-ins we had when we were talking about supporting attendance. The data is phenomenal. And so we're actually going to adopt this at our school, and we want to support the top tier for every single grade level for our students. We want to expand this to our entire school because it shows that it's effective and it helps. And so that was huge. And then
I think just looking at the data and just in general, seeing how our input and our interventions and our support for students, we see it when we interact with kids. We know it, we feel it, but being able to see it and quantify it is kind of pretty cool to be like, yes, oh, I did something.
Great. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you. Jessica Tyler.
No questions, but excellent job and excited for you guys. It's a very long process, so congratulations on getting to this point. It's exciting.
Thank you. I'm super excited to see it. I love this kind of stuff, and I'm hopeful that I think anything that we can do in this regard helps us to improve in our schools, right? And helps us to just be better for our students and to be more accountable even on our end to see those things. So I really appreciate all the hard work that you put into it. I'm excited to see how it grows there, and hopefully it starts to grow throughout the district. So thank you so much. Mariah, you want to add?
Well, I don't know how to word this formally, but can you do that process where we ask the board to recommend the approval of the ramp application? It needs to be a formal roll call or that thing.
Yeah, you ready for us to go to? How about?
You want to just make let's do all of it again.
Dr. Cleveland, do you recommend us, the board, to approve this action here? We're gonna.
This is a great program, and I strongly support going for this application. I said, I hope this is one of many. And, but it's always great just to be the first one to step out and take a chance on it. And that's what you've done. So wish you well. And I'm sure we're going to get good news come the first part of next year.
All right, thank you. So we'll go for a motion.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'd like to make a motion to approve the RAMP Award Program application.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Beth Miller, and JC will take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Give me a
Thank you.
applause. We're excited. Okay. Our next is to consider the approval to receive a police vehicle for CTE. Renee Saucedo, our school improvement officer for secondary, will present along with Larry Davis, our director of career technical education, and more.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, thank you. It's an honor to be here tonight. Renee could not be with us, but I got to tell you, it's just, I'm beaming when I talk about the teachers of this district. We hands down have the best teachers on the planet in this district. And Mr. Booker is certainly exemplifies that. Mr. Booker is the criminal justice teacher at Cleveland High School. And CTE students that complete and participate in CTSOs, that's Career Technical Student Organizations, have north of a 95% graduation rate. And so this is a tangible lever that we can pull as a district. It excites kids, it's good for kids, and programs don't build themselves. Teachers build programs because they're passionate and they're well informed of their discipline. We have Mr. Booker here who serves 315 students every year in this district. At the cost of my operational budget of $35 per student. And that doesn't even touch what he does on campus to raise money for his organization. This last summer, he took 10 of our students to compete in Atlanta, Georgia in Skills USA. So he's a true difference maker for this district. I'd also like to recognize Lieutenant Noss is in the audience here as our partner, and certainly a partnership that Mr. Booker has created in support of what we are proposing this evening. So there's nobody better than the teacher himself to talk about the proposal. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Booker.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the school board, and Dr. Cleveland, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to talk to you here today. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. We'd like to request the approval of the donation of a decommissioned police vehicle. We believe that this vehicle will be a tangible training aid to enrich the education of our students throughout many different lessons. Next slide, please. With the decommissioned police vehicle, we can conduct authentic learning experiences in the career fields of public safety, law enforcement, crime scene investigation. This will not be the only use for this vehicle, and we believe that this vehicle will be a centerpiece for training for many students across several different disciplines and classes, as well as schools. Next slide, please.
During my time in Rio Rancho Public Schools as a CT director, it's been my goal and my vision to have collaboration between all of our pathways. This certainly lends itself with Dr. Chris Johnson's automotive pathway, as they will be able to diagnose and work on a high performance vehicle They'll, just like servicing the rest of the district service physical plant vehicles, this would be another opportunity for those students as well to work in collaboration and get experience to what it takes to maintain a high-use vehicle, but also a vehicle that is geared to be able to go really fast, I'm told.
So the real world applications are endless for a police vehicle. The training vehicle will deepen the understanding of our students and the roles and the responsibilities of law enforcement while providing a realistic setting that cannot be recreated in the classroom. Next slide, please. The vehicle will be a conspicuous signal to our partner of our partnerships in law enforcement. And through community engagement, we will strengthen our ties with the Rio Rancho Police Department while promoting community awareness of our joint programs and further expanding our students' understanding and respect of our community's protectors. Next slide, please. So the use of a decommissioned police vehicle will benefit our students for years to come. And I think Mr. Davis would be able to wrap things up nicely with just the last few notes on the.
Thank you, Mr. Booker.
Absolutely.
So I think it's fair to say that students are just like us. When we make decisions, part of our decision-making process is based on the experience we've had in the past with whatever it is. Students are the same way. When they're having these experiences, whether it's going to Atlanta, Georgia, whether it's sitting in a police car and learning about all the intricacies of it, these are the practical application and experiences that they're going to remember that in turn will allow them to make informed choices of their career pathways. And this doesn't only impact 1 year, certainly this impacts years moving forward. My department, my operation money is prepared to put decals on the car and make it look accordingly first rate for this district. So in essence, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, we're asking that you would approve this request so that students would be able to get those experiences that, as mentioned, will help them make those decisions in life that they are going to be facing within the next couple of years. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I just have to thank you both for coming in. When Dr. Cleveland and I were looking at the agenda last week, I just was really excited and interested in this. And that's why I'm so grateful that these sort of things come to the board, just so that we're aware of just the great things that are happening within the district. And so thank you for presenting this tonight. It's great. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything? And then I'll
Again, we definitely support you're working with our police department. We want to thank Rio Rancho Police Department. They're good partners in so many ways in this community, and it's been such a support to our district over the years. And so this is just kind of cool kind of thing, and I can see how it will be used in multiple areas, not just in automotive. So thank you for making the deal happen. And it'll be up to the board whether to accept it or not, but it's exciting. And, I could just see this vehicle. It's kind of zipping around town. But thank you again for your hard work on this.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff Morgan, any questions?
I just got one question now. Is it just going to have Cleveland on there? Because if it's a Rio Rancho school district.
No, it's a Cleveland one.
Happy to also spread the news that Rio Rancho High School has an up-and-coming program. The Cleveland High School Criminal Justice Program has been in place for about 3 years, and we've competed locally and nationally, as Mr. Davis has said. And we've adopted an after-school club that has also been able to, through fundraising and Mr. Davis, been able to do uniforms. But to your point, the Rio Rancho High School is starting a program this year, and as it continues to grow, I see interscholastic competition in law enforcement and other public safety skills, criminal justice related. So yeah, it will be shared.
Say it again?
It will be shared.
Okay, that's where I'm going. Okay, all right. So at some point, Rio would have theirs, and I would expect you'll come up in another year or so and do the same thing, right? Okay, man. All right.
As the news of this had begun to spread, other law enforcement partners had said that they were open as well to
Good.
other partners, other donors.
Nice.
All right. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Miller, any questions?
No questions, just congratulations and thank you for what you're doing for students in the community.
Yeah, thank you. Jessica Tyler, anything?
Yes, I want to share just real quick. I ran into Mr. Booker the other night at a local new venue, The Block, and Carly had Mr. Booker several years ago. Now I'm calculating, doing the math, when you said how many students he puts through his classes every year, more than 1,000 students ago. And he didn't remember her name, but he remembered her and came and approached her to say hello, which I just thought was amazing, but it shows your dedication to our students. And so thank you for that. And so then I was able to also share with Mr. Booker that that's how I got into law enforcement, was exposure to law enforcement class through dating myself, TBI at the time. And that's what sparked my interest in law enforcement. And so, programs like this, I think, are instrumental and essential to build the pool of applicants for our future law enforcement officers, which is extremely important because we know those are difficult positions to fill now. So thank you for the work you do. And this is exciting. And I think it looks pretty cool with the Cleveland Criminal Justice wrap on it. So I will go and drive it for you if you want to see if it still goes fast. No, I'm just kidding. Super exciting. And so great work on this partnership.
Thanks. Dr. Cleveland.
Yeah, I just want to be sure we're clear in this and how this came about. This program at Cleveland made asked for the assistance with this. But knowing the competitiveness between the two schools,
That's what I'm saying.
I would be very surprised if in a year or so, we don't have the same kind of request. But the request came from this teacher to the police department. Okay. Just wanted to be sure everyone kind of understood how that happened.
I still feel good. I feel good about it.
And the kids won't be driving it.
Yeah.
I say that, and I was just kidding. So I just want to make it clear, like, there's no expectation that the kids would be driving.
Go ahead.
At the beginning of this year, we were allowed to pull all CTE teachers together, and we really talked about that collaboration. And so we opened up the channels of that. And so I know for a fact that the real Rancho High School teacher has already reached out to Mr. Booker. So we expect that of our math teachers and our English teachers and so forth, but we're getting that with our CT teachers, and that's just a huge benefit.
Cool.
That's good. Any other questions or comments, or a motion would be great too?
This is Board Member Tyler. I'd like to make a motion to approve to receive the police vehicle for CTE.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Jeff Morgan, and JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Okay, our last item is to consider the approval of the 24-25 school year instructional calendar update. Peggy Johnson, our Human Resources Director, will present.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. Back again, looking at the calendar. So as Dr. Cleveland mentioned earlier, the calendar this year has been a bit of a challenge. And so we are looking at it yet again. So I'm here tonight to request that the board consider approving an edit to the previously approved instructional calendar. The reason for this edit is the state has come back and let us know that we needed to have one more day of instruction with our secondary students. So to be clear, this will not be impacting our elementary students. It's only the secondary schools that would be impacted. And what our suggestion is, after working with the cabinet and Renee Saucedo, is to take that April 21 professional development day that we already have on the calendar. Again, it will remain for elementary, but for our secondary students, we would actually make that a virtual learning day. So they would not be coming to the school, so it will not impact transportation as well. Transportation had already assumed they wouldn't be doing anything. I don't mean it that way. They had already assumed they wouldn't be transporting students on that day. So that was our best effort in trying to satisfy that requirement from the state. If we can satisfy that requirement, it will actually allow us to have a bigger impact on our budget. It will allow us to have more money, more funding from the state, which of course is something that we are always in desperate need for. So that was our suggestion. So I'm here to ask you to consider that, and I'll stand for questions.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So have we talked this over yet with the state, just like and it seems like this is good to, going to be good?
So David Vigil, who is here tonight, and if you wanted to come up, he can certainly do that. He's actually the one who has been in communication with the state about that.
Okay, that makes me happy. I'm like, are we going to approve it? And then
So
they're
they had requested that we have a board approved edit to the calendar and that Dr. Cleveland write a letter. So that's what they have asked of us.
Okay, Dr. Cleveland, do you want to add anything?
It's a $3.2 billion issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can write that letter. I hope so.
Yeah, we can do that. Any questions from the board? Jeff Morgan?
That was my only question as well, is that previously PED had told us that virtual days would not count towards some of the extra days. And so just wanting to make sure that they'd be okay with, that for this case as well.
Okay, so we're good.
We're good.
We are good. Okay, so with that,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school year instructional calendar update.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, and then JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler? Yes. Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of dates for advanced planning. So there's a professional development day on the 9th. Also on the 9th is the region meeting. So if you haven't signed up for that and you want to go, please let JC know. I think she's got everyone who is planning to go to that. It's out in Moriarty. Then we have fall break on the 10th through the 11th. 14th, we'll have our next regular board meeting. And then on the 28th, we'll have a board meeting along with an audit committee meeting. So any questions on advanced planning? Anything that we've missed? I think we're okay. All right, our meeting's adjourned for tonight. Thank you, everyone.